You're listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoy on the market. First Light, the best hunting gear on the planet. Go farther, stay longer. And Ducklander Calls, tradition, education, and quality. Built to hunt.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430. This is episode 229. We need to thank our sponsors, First Light Real Geese and Ducklander Calls. Thank you so much for your continued support. We will ask you very nicely to please head over to their social media accounts, give them some love, and let them know that you heard about them through the Punisher Waterfowl podcast. And of course, we need to thank the voice of the Union 0430 podcast, Captain Jeff Coates from Pit Boss Waterfowl, operating out of the beautiful state of Maryland and not far from Ocean City. I know he's told me. What's that?
And crabs
Near
to go.
Crabs to Go, yeah. And Cheers and all the other cool places that we live vicariously through Jeff in knowing all about. So it's awesome. If you're watching, you can see it's just the three of us tonight, no guest. That's by design. And thanks, boys. We didn't know if we were going to do it tonight because I didn't know if I was going to be able to go. And then
flip-flopping back and forth.
Flip-flop. And then I was like, well, I forget. Like, sometimes I forget that you guys still have a young family, right? Like, I just forget. And I just think of, like, my kids are older at 19 and 16. And I forget. Yeah, and I was like, well, we can't do it on Thursday night. We'll just record a show on the weekend.
Yeah,
and then
we still have to feed and water our kids.
Yeah, I get it. And but at the end of the day, I got my testing done that I needed to get done today, and I'll get into that. And we're able to record the show tonight, and which means I don't have to rush over the weekend to make sure that we got an episode ready for the millions and millions of fans come Monday morning. So if this gets annoying, because apparently I've been doing that a lot lately.
Really? Here?
No, apparently at home. I'm like sitting around home and my wife will be like, why are you breathing so heavy? I was like,
are you mouth breathing?
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think I'm doing anything different. And she's like, it's fucking driving me bananas. Stop it. So anyways.
I'm like that with Carrie and Caleb, especially. Like, if they eat apples, I'm like, you guys got to be somewhere else, because it's like they do this weird, like, they take a breath in when they bite an apple. They're like, I'm like, and I'll just look at them like, what? I'm like, it's like, stop it. Like, just eat normally.
Savages.
Fucking savages, yeah. There was something. What did I? Oh, I did want to start off. I made a note out of it. I made a note on my paper, and I did want to start off on it, Craig. And you really reminded me of it yesterday when I'd seen your social media when you had reposted something that something from about a year ago that I had posted, just revolving around the month of June and it being Mental Health Month. And I did want to bring some attention to it, because for everybody that listens to the show, and I'm not taking anything away from Phil or Craig or anything like that, but for anybody that's listening to the show, you probably do know that I suffer from some mental health injuries that I sustained while I was serving in the military. And if you're listening to this, and if it is something that you're struggling with, or if it's something that you don't fully understand or don't know how to, talk to a friend or a family member that may be struggling, I want to tell you that just approach to people and just have an honest conversation, because I promise you that person will feel relieved to know that somebody is in their corner. because that is the scariest and loneliest place in the world to be, is when your head's bouncing around and you don't know if you've got the support of your friends and family. So if you do know somebody that's struggling, please reach out to them. You have no idea how much good it'll do to them in their healing and recovering. And also, if you are struggling with mental health yourself, one day at a time. And that's all I can tell you, is one day at a time. And just know that you are not alone. There are a lot of us out there that are struggling and deal with it. So just keep on fighting, and you'll get through it. And you can always fire me a message. I promise you, I will write you back. Now, Philly and Craig, you both, if you feel like it, you can chime in on this. But that was my 5 cents on that, or my.
Well, I'll pitch in a nickel too. Like obviously, there's a lot of people that don't know. Like work definitely wasn't too kind to me a little while ago, and I can guarantee you, the vast majority of people out there don't know I was like legitimately off work for an entire year because of stuff that went down. And yeah, but it is a shit feeling. Like there was days where literally I'd get the kids out the door of school and I would be on the couch for the entire day. Yeah, just lot of shit going on, whatever the case may be. And I got a buddy that's kind of going through a little spout right now, and I've been doing my absolute damnedest to look after him. And yeah, like just that absolute lonely feeling, like it's fucking brutal. And then like idle hands are the worst thing.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, like I actually had re-seen the clip that we made a year ago, and like that offer still stands. If someone's going through some shit or you're going through some stuff, whatever, pick up that phone, call a friend, call me, call someone. I'd say call the Pope, but he ain't around no more. But yeah, like I said, a phone call can save someone's life. It's the smallest thing. Like even as much as a simple text message out to a buddy that's not doing so well, just pick up the goddamn phone. Like put your freaking ego aside. Like I had to swallow my pride, and that was one of the biggest things. And I look back at it now, and it's like, you know what? It was a me thing. It's not that. I'm gonna say it's not that big of a deal, but just swallow your pride. Yeah, like it was an absolute torture, the shit that I went through, and unfortunately, there's still a bit of residual effects of what went down and off. But I'm in a shit ton better shape than I was 2 years ago, and yeah, just remember, for the love of Christ, look out for one another.
Yeah, no, good points, buddy. Craig?
Just after watching that video, just kind of reiterate the point I made on that, and just kind of listening to you guys talk. And I think what trap people fall into is they'll listen to that and be like, Damien was in the military, Phil's a cop. It's like they're going through some shit. It's like, I'm feeling bad, but like, what have I got to compare to those guys, sort of thing, right? And it's I think that's where people can kind of get into that comparison type mode too, and be like yeah, like who am I to speak up and complain about what I'm going through if I didn't go through something that bad? But and that's what I said on the video. It's like it doesn't matter what other people's issues look like or what kind of ordeal they've been through. It doesn't make any less of your situation.
That's right.
So, and yeah, like I don't have a career like you guys have had or currently have. So it's like I'm not dealing with anything like that at those levels. But I've got my own stuff too, and
Of course you do.
just past stuff like family stuff, ongoing stuff. There's always something like that, right? So yeah, it's just like people need to make sure that they're not taken away from whatever they're experiencing or whatever issues they may be struggling with. So and to one thing you said, Damien, as far as like reach out to that person if you see them struggling. And the big thing is just keep asking, because like Carrie will ask me regularly, like like how are you doing today, and most days it's like you're good, and or the days where something's obviously on your mind and they can see it and it, but you don't know where, like you don't even know where your own thoughts are at, right? Like you can't kind of pinpoint it. So people ask you if you're all right, ask if you want to talk, and you may not really know, you may not know what you want to talk about or what you're even feeling. So it's important, like if you see somebody going through that, just keep asking, because at some point they may not be able to kind of voice what's going on or find the words for it. But if you keep asking, at some point they're gonna, at least they see that you care, and at some point they're probably gonna have the words and have that bigger discussion.
Yeah. No, you know, you bring up a good point. Like when you talk about, you know, you personally weren't a first responder or anything like that. You know, it's really weird. And I can't speak to the police or the firefighters or paramedics and those types of positions, right? But in the Army, there is no stigma surrounding mental health, right? Like it is part of it. Some people can deal with it, and some people can operate in those situations, and it doesn't bother them. They have their own way of coping, and they can do it. Um, but in the Army, it isn't an issue anymore. Nobody thinks you're weak. Nobody thinks anything, right? Like it just happens. And that's my wish, is that every other profession out there, or regardless of what walk of life you are from, is that people start treating it as, hey, listen, it happens. It doesn't matter. Like I was diagnosed in 2008 with post-traumatic stress disorder. So I'm a little bit long in the tooth when it comes to this. So I would say I'm fairly healthy now. I still have my issues and stuff, but for the most part, I'm good to go. And in the, you know, however long that's been, what, 13 years? No, what, 2008, 25,
17.
17 years. I've talked to a lot of people, and dude, it comes in all shapes and sizes and forms. Like, you do not need to be a first responder in order to have some issues. Like, I've talked to people where I've been like, wow, like, yeah, I could see how that fucking bothered you, or is causing some issues, but never in a million years would I think that that incident would happen, or something along those, you know what I mean? So, um, yeah, don't, like Philly said, put your ego to the side. Listen, no one will look any different. At least in my world, the people that matter most to me are my family and my very close friends. And if they believe in me and they don't shun me, then I'm happy. I don't care what anybody else thinks, to be honest with you. So,
My biggest token line at work is like, do you contribute to my paycheck or pension? So we'll see where you fall in with the give a fuck factor.
yeah, no, absolutely. And at the end of the day, like Craig said, keep asking. If it's someone that's close to you, someone that you know, it's easy, because, you know, if it's somebody that you know, you can pick up on the things that they're doing different, right? Or how they're acting different, or whatever. So it's easy. You can see it and ask, yeah, but just sometimes, yeah, you just being there enough, they'll know, and they'll open up when they're ready to open up. We just got to do a job and help them know that we're there to support, right? So, um to tidy this all up and put a bow on it, June is Mental Health Month. And please, if you are listening, if you are struggling, or if you know somebody, if you need any help, I'm sure any one of us would answer your text or your email or your DM through socials. Ask, and we'll do what we can to help you, or point you in the direction that you need to go in. So with that, I'm thinking of you. Remember, you're not alone. And yeah, and we can end that instead of spending, because actually I'm at the point now where I don't even, I'm done talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, I've spent so much of the last 17 years reliving every fucking incident and talking to every doctor that I've had to relive it. So now I just don't even fucking want to talk about it, to be honest with you.
Talk about duck hunt.
Yeah, well, actually, here's some exciting news for our listeners. Scott Rumble, Ashley Berta, I don't know who else, but I think Craig's going to pull the trigger here, ladies and gentlemen. Philly,
Real
did you get
close.
that sense today? Did you get the sense today that Craig is getting ready to pull the trigger and he's gonna be a dog owner?
I think Craig's been doing some window shopping.
I think Craig he's been doing some window shopping, and he's been doing some expert consultations as well. He's been
so
reaching
many
out to
threads going right now and conversations and worst part is it's like, because I've reached out to people, I'll see litters on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll message and it's like, hey, when are these ready or whatever. And so yeah, yesterday I messaged somebody. It's like, hey, when are these puppies ready? They're like, tomorrow. It's like, oh fuck.
Shit, I don't want it that quick.
Yeah.
I don't want it that quick.
You called my bluff.
Yeah. No, this is a slippery rabbit hole to go down on this show, because once we start talking about dogs, we're on here for like friggin' 45 minutes just on dogs alone.
Well, that'll be the rest of our episode.
Yeah, exactly. I got a couple other things that I want to talk about, but it is exciting, Craig. It's exciting for me on a couple different aspects, and I'm not trying to take any of your thunder, and I want you to talk on this as well. But for me, I know your family, I know your kids, I know your wife, and obviously I know you. So I'm excited because I can't wait to see how the family as a whole welcomes this puppy into your day to day, right? And then because I'm so excited to see the process and the journey that you got, like you, Cam, Caleb, and Carrie are going to go on from the puppy stages where it's all cute and fun to the 5 o'clock in the morning wake ups and the chewing and the whole gamut. I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to from a distance watch.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I like things a particular way. I like order, and I'm like, that's a lot of times that's what holds me up.
Don't
Like,
buy a dog,
man. It's like, dog hair. You're gonna walk in, you're gonna smell a dog. It's gonna be dog shit in the yard. I'm like,
there's gonna be piss on the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You better have the
they're going
patience
to
of
test
Job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to test you, and they're labs, so they are driven by their stomach and nothing else. So yeah, good luck. But I do know that that you will enjoy having a dog sit next to you while you're hunting, because
there's no feeling like it. Like, you can't compare.
Yeah. Well, like I've said before, it's just like, I know, like, there's particular spots around here I would love to hunt, and I never hunted because it's like, even if I've got a canoe out there, if that bird doesn't fall stone dead by the time I try and get after it, I'm going to lose it, right? So there's just so many spots that I don't hunt, and I just refuse to hunt because it's like, I'm just going to lose birds. So that's when it's an investment to me in the hunting opportunity as well. Because yeah, there's so many great spots around here that would be so much better, and so many more opportunities with the dog. And yeah, Carrie wants a dog. She with the kids, like Cam especially.
Yeah.
Like, he's been asking nonstop. Anytime I mention something, he's like, "What? Like, are we getting one?" So like tonight, I came home and I was showing Carrie some more videos on that, and Cam's like right there, and I think Caleb too. Caleb would be excited, and he'd help out for sure. But like right now, we just don't see him around anyway, so it's like can't gauge his excitement because he's just always in his room or gone somewhere. But yeah, Cam's still stuck at our sides right now, so he has a little more exposure to all the conversations and that. So, but yeah, I think it'll definitely be a good addition. The whole family will be involved, and it's more so me wrapping my head around it.
Well, and I also think, you'll hear people say, well, I want a hunting dog, but I also want a family pet as well, right? and which is important, because if you've got kids and you've got a family, the dog has to be able to interact. It can't be just a, you know, a a savage that's just ready to go frothing at the mouth the whole bit, right? It has to be socially acceptable and the bit. But there's this little percentage more, right? It's not a 50-50. I want 50% hunting dog, 50% family dog. For you, it's like, seems like it's almost like 70% hunting dog, 30% family dog. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's a different shift, right? Like Phil, you know, like you've got multiple dogs. You've got a dog that is a fucking couch potato, and
No, I've got two couch
it
potatoes.
well, yeah, Zeus is a bit of a couch potato as well, but you know, that other one, that Dana's dog, like that's a family dog, right?
Yeah, the Frenchie, he's a potato. But
Yeah.
he's just a bag of spare parts. And like I've said it before, and I'll say it again: if he was a wild dog, he wouldn't have lived this long.
Yeah, he's special. No, Craig,
He a
buddy,
few bottles short of a 2-4.
yeah, I'm excited for you, buddy. I know you're doing your due diligence, and you poke around with Phil and I, and you send other people messages. So I know you're doing your due diligence. I just can't fucking wait for you to get your dog, to be honest with you.
And the worst part, it's funny because I was like looking at timing, like when I was messaging you guys, I'm like looking at, if I get it now, how's the timing work as far as sending it off? And then more I talked to Scott, and it's like, oh, it's actually like, because I was thinking it might be a little too soon to get it. He's like, no, that's like his timeline that he gave me. I'm like, oh shit, that kind of sucks because it works out. It's perfect. So I one less excuse that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of like a 90% thing right now.
No, that's good, buddy. I know, and I messaged you when we were chatting, right? Like, and I don't know a ton when it comes to dogs. Like, I'm learning as I go as well. Lander's my first working dog. But I told you, like, if you get your dog now, like, don't think that you're gonna have her hunting. Like, she could be out in the boat with you, or on the hunt with you. You're just not gonna hunt her. Right. And that's just from the school of Bill Kennedy, right? Like, you could take that for what it's worth. I'm sure there's fellas that hunt their dogs at 5 months old.
Yeah.
I'm just, from what I know, and the crew that I'm around with, I would focus on making sure that your dog is good to go, and not rushing her and putting her in a situation where bad things can happen.
One of the
I can see
best
people
things,
doing that, right? Like, you've only got so many. You've got a pretty small window when it comes to dogs for how many seasons you're going to be out there hunting. So, like, imagine the idea of losing a season for some guys is too much, and they just want to force it. And I could see if you're well versed in everything, and you can handle a dog well, probably no problem. But yeah, for me, I certainly wouldn't want to force that and then create more problems.
That's actually a very good point to bring up. Sorry, Phil, you can chime in when I say this, but that's a really good point, because maybe if you're an experienced dog handler, dog trainer, well, then maybe you don't need that 14-month-old before she or he actually comes out and does a hunt, right? For me, I was just like you. I was a beginner, so I just did what the trainer told me, really. Sorry, Philly, I cut you off, buddy.
everyone has their own different standards and methodology as to how they go about things with their dog. And like some people just want like a meat dog, some people want to compete, whatever the case may be. But honestly, one of the like regardless of the outcome of what you want for that dog, whether you're going to compete or just street meat dog, whatever, one of the best things I ever learned from my buddy Andrew is don't ever hunt with a dog in training. Hunt with a trained dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a very good
You want to learn bad habits?
mantra.
Take a dog hunting that you're trying to train.
Yeah.
Because unless you leave the gun at home, it's a shit show. You can't focus on two things at once. Hunt with a trained dog.
I saw that happen.
Not with a dog.
I saw that happen once on a hunt. Trainer was out with a young dog that was still training, and by the end of the hunt, the dog was fucked right up. Like he had to pull the dog out from hunting after that.
Yeah, I've made and I've done it like Lander, even when I've done it, let's say a couple years ago. If you guys, Phil, you were there. I don't think Craig was there. We were in Smith Falls hunting with we had a Punisher camp there, and I had Lander there, and she was just fuck, man, she was wound up something
He would
wicked.
not give Thor the time of day.
No,
Oh,
but it wouldn't only that, but like she was just wound up, like she just wanted to go, right? Like she's a bit of a fire breather. And I still tried to hunt, and hindsight being 2020, I should not have had my gun that day. I should have just put my gun down and just focused on her and got her calmed down, because I think she may have ruined the hunt for a couple people just in how crazy she was and loud. So yeah, Phil, like you're right, like, and Craig, like there's sometimes when maybe just leave the gun home and focus on the dog, because you can't do two things at once. You're right, Phil. You can't hunt and then focus on the dog at the same time. It's impossible. So with all that being said, I'm happy for you, Craig. I'm excited. I can't wait. And just when you bring that dog around me, you just have to be very upfront and say, Damien, you're not allowed to do this, this, and this with the dog, because I am a sucker for young dogs.
we all are.
Yeah. Craig, you didn't get in on this, and we'll switch topics here now. You didn't get in on this because it was just Philly and I on before we hit the record button, before you come on. Is there another pursuit out there? So I don't know, deer, turkey, moose, whatever, where we are so fascinated over brand stickers than what we are. Like, you should have seen Phil. Phil was like, man, I've got so many stickers. And I was like, nah, you can't have that many stickers. And he reaches up, and I mean, like, he's got a wad of stickers like this here. And he's, and it's like a trophy case. He's like, hey, look at this sticker. I've got this sticker and I've got that sticker. And he's showing off all his fucking cool guy stickers. And so then I'm like, well, hold on. So then I walk over to my little cabinet where I've got all mine, and I'm like, hey, I bet you don't have one of these. And I bet you don't. And here we are. We're in a dick measuring contest on who has the best stickers. And I don't, like, I don't know. I know tradesmen are big on it, because my dad was a tradesman, and like his hard hats and his toolboxes and everything were just covered in stickers. But and I think fishermen, fisher ladies, whatever. I think people that fish, they're big sticker nuts too, on their boats and on their gear and shit like that. But is there another hunting group that's so crazy on stickers than what waterfowlers are?
I think it might just be too, like with deer hunting, it's like you're probably not using as many different products as you are with waterfowl too, right? So it's like you're using different stuff, different brands. So I think you're inundated with more product, more brands, and but yeah, it's like for me, it's probably only been about the last 10 years. But I've got a bin in the garage too. Like out in the garage, I've got shelves where all my hunting clothing are, and bins of, I've got my waterfowl bin, I've got my turkey bin, and all that. And yeah, I've got one clear bin that's just where all the stickers go. And
Really?
that's just what's left over. That's not on my one hard gun case or on my gun cabinets or ammo boxes. But yeah, it's a clear case full of them.
I just think about it, and you go on social media sometimes and stuff, and you and fellas, and like, people will bring up the fact that, hey, and I know, and listen, I love First Light. I've been wearing it. I love the company, but I know there was a stretch there when they weren't putting stickers in with, you're dropping a K in buying gear, and they couldn't put a sticker in. And I'm
People
telling you,
lose
man,
their
there were
mind.
some dudes that were losing their goddamn mind over it. Um, and rightfully so, because they're like, I just spent $1,000. Can I have a 5-cent sticker, please? And to the point that just blatantly saying, listen, I just spent all this money. Like, give me a goddamn sticker. I just think it's brilliant. I've got all these. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with all these stickers. Like, I've got my bar fridge that's covered in stickers. My Yeti cooler covered in stickers. I don't have a hard gun case, but my Yeti cooler's covered in stickers. My bar fridge is covered in stickers. I've got like a, I don't know, a big fucking thing up on the wall. That's all covered in stickers. I've got, and I still got a bin full of stickers, and I still want more. Like,
we've got a
Why do I?
full size fridge down here in our basement. The front of it is wallpapered. Yeah, just covered. Like my wife has legitimately said she would cry the day that fridge dies.
Really?
Yeah. There's been a lot of time, a lot of travel, a lot of effort putting in the sticker in that fridge. Like, it is covered.
Just gotta peel the outer shell off it and then turn it into like a wall tapestry kind of thing.
Like, and it's one of these.
Well, that's what.
Well, the worst. So we got the fridge for free.
Right.
Give it that. We didn't pay for it, but it's one of those stupid side by each fridges.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a vertical. So it's like fridge on one side, freezer on the other. For the love of Christ, don't ever buy one of these goddamn things. Like, they are the stupidest design.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're not as popular as they used to be.
You can't put any sort of large box in the freezer. There's just no bloody space.
Yeah, the freezers are so skinny, eh? There's no space. Yeah.
But it's well done.
But I think too with the stickers, it just becomes an actual topic too, right? Like, it's almost like it's kind of a joke within waterfowl community where it's like it's just a joke where you talk about the stickers and stuff like that. Whereas, like, I haven't heard that anywhere else. So now it's just kind of become. I think the companies have just picked up on that, and everybody just wants stickers, and it's more of a topic. And like, I think back to like when I was a kid, going to like union resort type things, like with my dad, like they'd have an annual big union convention type thing, and even at old DU stuff when I was a kid, like it was all about the pins and the buttons, right? Like my dad worked for the town when I was growing up, so he'd go to the township and get like a bag of like Corporation of the Town of Dunville pins just to hand out to people at these conventions and stuff, because that was what you did back in the day. And I think these stickers for waterfowl are just kind of taken over that.
Well, I was showing Phil, and these were because Phil's showing off with his stickers, right? And he's got some fucking cool guy stickers, and so then I'm like, well, I gotta start going through. No, I bet you Phil got one of those. He's got one of these. He's got one of them. And then I get to my Molly's stickers. I got a bunch of Molly's stickers that Chicky sent me, and so what I found now with stickers, especially in the waterfowl world, I don't know about any of the other ones. But it's not just a brand sticker now. Like, they're having fun with it now. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a brand. Like Punisher Water. Like, the only Punisher Waterfowl stickers are of the logo that Phil's got on the front of his T-shirt. Right? That's it. Well, he's got the OG stickers. Like, Phil's got more Punisher Waterfowl stickers than what I have.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of old ones.
I've got 3 of the OG.
Yeah.
Like the best Punisher stickers ever invented. I got 3 of them. And no, they're not for sale.
And they're not for sale. $700 a piece. But yeah, like they're just getting they're being more fun with the stickers. You know what I mean? So then it becomes a different colors and different scenes. I don't know, man. We've spent probably 10 minutes talking about stickers, and that's probably the longest anybody has ever talked about stickers on a podcast. I don't know. Probably.
So my favorite part was when I had my old blue car. Like, so I had that little like
sky
blue Prius. Honda. Well, it's a Honda Insight, so it's like looks just like a Toyota Prius.
Right.
But like that was my car for shit. I had that 10 years or so.
Look, I remember the first time
I think I put over 400,000 kilometers on that thing when I finally sold it to a friend for their daughter. But like I took that up to my buddy's deer camp all the time. So like when I'd go up in November, I'd have it loaded with all my deer hunting stuff, and I'd make sure all the Blaze Orange stuff was on top. So as like all the guys are going by in their trucks, they could see all my Blaze Orange gear inside the car and the looks I'd get. But then the same thing, like as it was getting old, like I just plastered it with all kinds of hunting stickers and like CCFR stickers and gun stickers and that, just to keep people guessing. Right?
So
Some of the looks I'd get in drive-throughs and stuff was hilarious.
so let's go back to this. Well, you're driving a car that resembles a Prius, and you drove this. This
And it
was
was
your
like
daily,
powder, sky blue kind of thing too.
yeah. And you were 100% okay with driving this car. This was, your car, your daily vehicle. But
But
if you had the opportunity and you were driving, you would go out of your way to make sure that if anybody passed you and they looked down and looked inside that vehicle, they'd be like, "Oh, it's not a girl that's driving this car; it's a dude that
yeah,
hunts."
it's my wife's car.
Yeah. The only thing better I saw, I was coming through Barrie when I was coming home, coming north up the 400, and there was a guy in like an old Honda Civic, and like you could just see stuff hanging out of his passenger door in the back seat. He
Yeah.
had a ground blind all brushed up in the back seat
Well
with
done.
like all the cattails or corn or whatever was still hanging out. And I was like, he's got me beat, because I at least had the hatch and could put the seats down. No, this guy had everything hanging out the back seat. My goal was always that I was going to put a dead deer in that car before I sold it, and didn't happen.
My buddy, when I was still serving him, I served up in the Ottawa Valley, up at the base here. My buddy bought a 79 Stingray, and we went out goose hunting one day, and he come back and he put the geese on the back of the Corvette with his
On like the luggage rack.
yeah, on the luggage rack, and he just put his shotgun over it, and he posted that on on a Corvette fan page. Oh my God.
Guys lost their minds.
Oh my God, lost their goddamn mind. They were like, "Are you driving that car while you're hunting?" And there's like, "Do you know that car is like a," they were just losing their fucking mind. He was like, "No, I just took a fucking picture. Like, chill."
Should have photoshopped some like big mud tires on the car or something.
Yeah. That's funny. I did want to bring up, and I did want to thank everybody that's listening, that has taken part in the promo code that we've been advertising this week or last week when you're hearing this, for Nature Tracks, because I was talking to Harry today. They've completely sold out, or almost sold out. All of that first shipment that come in, because when we had done the show, Phil, remind me or correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think the show went live just this past Monday, and I think it was Monday when they were expecting to receive their very first shipment.
Cannot recall when that was due.
I think that's how it was. Like, I think the shipment was in Montreal. It was in a sea container when we recorded it, and we just wanted it. He just needed it delivered to the business. So, I have no idea how big that shipment is, but I'm guessing that for a business, and something like Nature Tracks, I would think that it was probably a significant amount of bags and gear that came in. And when I was chatting with him today, he was like, "Yeah, we've pretty much sold out of everything, and now we're looking forward to the I think the July shipment is coming in." So thank you to and just to be totally transparent, I'm not making any money off that promo code or nothing. I'm sharing it. He was nice to give it to our listeners. I'm sharing it. I'm not making any money off it, and I never would want to anyways, but thank you for all of you for supporting us, a new startup young business, because that's got to be a good feeling for him and his partners, right? When you still really don't know, is it gonna work? And when you get your first shipment, you're almost sold out in less than a week. That's got to make you feel pretty good, I think.
So it's got to be exciting knowing that the product's coming in, and then it's like, I can imagine a lot of companies, they bring product in and then it just sits there, and
Yeah,
that excitement fades. But yeah, to unload it that quickly, that's awesome.
yeah, absolutely.
Good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. I got to tell you this, and I'm somewhat embarrassed to bring it up, but it makes for a good story, so I really don't care if I'm embarrassed. And honestly, I'm I probably will never meet anybody that listens to this show anyways, or listens to this part. So I grew up from pretty humble beginnings and army the whole bit. When I was a teen, like late teens, early 20s, I had this vision in my head of what I thought success looked like. And that involved having a healthy family, having a family, healthy, nice house. I had a car, my wife had a car, kids didn't do anything. But one of the biggest ticket items that I thought was a great measure of success was a refrigerator that would dispense water and ice.
Oh, the Dulux model.
Buddy, and listen, people are listening to this right now and they're fucking snickering, and I know it. I get it. But I used to say to my wife, and hey, listen, like my wife and I, when I was a private and she was working at the Walmart portrait studios, like we didn't have a lot of money. We were renting a little place on base. You know, everything was hand-me-downs when it come to furniture and shit. And I said to her, I was like, you know, when I'll tell you the moment that I know that I've made it and I'm happy. That's when we own a fridge that dispenses water and ice, right? We've been together for 23 years. We bought this house and it's got this big, like, industrial refrigerator freezer unit.
Oh,
like
if anyone has
like
been to the international headquarters of Punisher Waterfowl, it is the sight to be seen.
So anyways, we got this big goddamn fridge, right? But it doesn't dispense water and it doesn't fucking produce ice.
That's lame.
But I've said, obviously I'm not going to get rid of this refrigerator because it's massive and it would cost a fortune to replace it. So I was like, yeah, I'm okay. At some point though, I will get my refrigerator that dispenses water and ice. The other day, I'm sitting at the island doing some work and I hear this fucking sound come from the fridge. I'm like, that sounds like ice cubes dropping. I'm like, what? So I get up, I go to the freezer, I open it up. Apparently there was a fucking lever that has been up ever since we've moved in here. And one of the kids was pulling something out of the freezer and knocked that lever down. It's been making fucking ice. Now it doesn't give me my water.
Did you not see the bucket in the freezer?
I just thought it was a fucking ice cube tray. Like because there was ice cube trays in the refrigerator, right? So I just assume, well, you make your ice and you just throw it in the fucking bucket once you're done. Boys, I'm going to tell you one of my things, we talked about this at the beginning of the show with June being mental health month. I had spent 6 months in the desert in fucking Afghanistan and I drank hot water on the daily. Since I returned in 2007 from Kandahar, I've got to have an ice cube in my fucking water every time I drink.
I don't blame you.
For so much so that a couple years ago for Christmas, Trish bought me an ice cube maker.
So
Because
countertop ones.
Yeah, the countertop ones from Costco, because I wasn't able to make enough ice. Like I'd have to have the freezer full of ice cube trays just to keep me going in ice. So she bought me this ice cube maker.
And it makes ice in like
And
10
I thought it was brilliant. So I am constantly making ice. And my friggin' refrigerator has been able to make ice up and the whole time. And I'm embarrassed to say that for 4 years, I've been living in the house with a refrigerator that was able to make ice, and I had no idea.
Damien,
And I guess with it being that big, you've never moved it.
No, and I didn't even, because the lever, it's like it's almost like a coat hanger that's been bent. And so when it flips up, you would never see it. Like I've never ever noticed that this lever has been flipped up. It's only when the kids hooked it and pulled it down that I was like, oh, What's this fucking lever?
Our fridge in our trailer is the same way. Like it's got a little doohickey.
If you tell me your RV has a fucking fridge that makes ice, Philly, I'm hanging up on you right now.
Yeah, our freezer in our trailer makes ice, but we never ever use it just because I guess like the water in the trailer park's like not potable, like you can't drink it.
Oh, okay, not potable.
Yeah, whatever it is.
That makes sense.
Plus there's probably antifreeze in the lines still towards like
Yeah.
the ice maker. Like
probably don't drink the antifreeze water.
Never turned it on since we've had the trailer, and then it accidentally got activated and started spitting cubes. So now like
look at these cool red or blue ice cubes.
Look, pink ice cubes.
I don't know, man. It's just so. Of course, I grabbed a phone and I'm immediately try to make a funny video so I could send to my wife at work, saying, "You know, we've lived here for 4 years and we've got a fridge that's making ice." And the simple things in life, and I think this comes with age. Because I don't think I would be nearly as excited about ice cubes 10 years ago as I am right now. But I am extremely excited that I get these big fat ice cubes made for me now out of my fridge. And I sleep a little bit better every night knowing that while I'm sleeping, ice is being made. Not gonna lie.
That was the first day. The day you figured that out was the first day of the rest of your life. All new life starts right now.
Absolutely, buddy. 100%. Small wins, yeah. And so, and then you leave it to Phil, right? To fucking rain on my. So the other time when it was just us, he started talking about this goddamn Blackstone that he's got and how they do these campground breakfasts on the weekends. And I'm just like, I want to have a campground breakfast. That sounds awesome. And now his goddamn RV refrigerator is making ice. He just won't let me have a win.
This is high-end camping, let me tell you.
It's glamping. It's not
thinking about that.
It's not the Lalonde's camping because they fucking rough it.
We finally got a little pop-up. But it's like thinking about like, yeah, you're happy with something and somebody else comes along and shits on it. We were away this weekend, so Cam went to a friend's place, like friends of ours. He spent the night, and they've been working for 2-3 years on an addition to their house, like a rental suite kind of thing. So we get up there, and I'm looking around. It's like, this place is awesome. Then I get looking, like kind of eyeball and stuff. I'm like, I'm pretty sure this place probably has this apartment that they built above their garage. It's probably about the same square footage as my fucking house.
Really?
Yeah. It's like it's kind of a combination. It's a big apartment, but our house also isn't very big. But I'm like, yeah, they built a rental apartment above their shop. That's probably about the same square footage as my whole house.
Wow,
I'm
just gonna
that is insane.
Waddle my way home now.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, boys. Like I think we won't be on for the full hour. This was a hodgepodge night again, which is good, and I like doing the. No, and I do. I really do like doing the shows when it's just us because we can be a little bit sillier than when we have a guest on. Because sometimes, and rightfully so, the guests, if they're representing a brand or whatever, well, they've got to get a message out, right? So there's a time that we've got to let them have the platform and do their pitch and the whole bit. So I love it when it's just us that come on. I did have one other thing that I wanted to put out, and if people are still listening, which I hope they are, because if that refrigerator story didn't grab your attention, I don't know what would. I did have a question because it's something that I'm thinking about, and I brought this up to you guys. And I'm really trying to figure out with regards to swag from Punisher Waterfowl. I really haven't had a lot of customers from the US purchasing swag and stuff. And I'm just wondering, and you're not going to hurt my feelings. And I'm just hoping that someone can message me and let me know if what their reason is on why they haven't bought any swag. Is it's just not appealing to them, which could be an issue. Is it the shipping coming from Canada, or is it that
You don't
you
like
just don't
Canadians.
like it? Oh, you know what I mean? Like, and you're not going to hurt my feelings. I'm really trying to know, because what I'm thinking about doing is I'm thinking about creating an American store, Shopify or Printify, whatever it is in the States, and doing it that way, so that the American listeners and the American followers of the show and of the brand, that they can get their items and not have to worry about crossing over the imaginary line. But I don't know. Maybe people just don't like the gear, and that's why they're not buying it, right? And which it could be that the case. They're just like, no, it's ugly and I don't like it. Or is it because of the imaginary line, and when you see what the shipping is from Canada, your mind's blown. But remember, $50 Canadian is like $2 American. So it all comes out in the wash when you really look at it. So I'm really curious. So if anybody is still listening, and if you're comfortable enough to shoot me a message, again, you're not going to hurt my feelings. This is all for research. I'd like to know your reasoning, or if you do purchase stuff in Canada, like is what are the hiccups? If you're an American consumer, what are your hiccups? I know the hiccups for Canadian consumers. I just don't know the hiccups
Yeah,
for
we get
American
hosed through
consumers.
the yin yang.
Well, we do as Canadians, because we're just so taxed. We're taxed crazy, and our dollar doesn't carry far, right? Not like the US dollar. So I'm just very curious on what Americans think about it, because I'd like to know, and I'd like to be able to be selling stuff in the States, right? But honestly, that's Canadians accept. I think this is a fair statement, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think Canadians accept the fact that they're going to have to buy some stuff from the States, and have to pay the duties and the shipping and crossing over the borders, right? I think for the most part, Canadians, if you want something specific and you can't get it in Canada, it's not a big deal. They'll just order it from the States, and they'll have it brought in, right?
Yeah, it's the reality of it. You have to. Most times you're not going to have an option.
That's right. I don't know if Americans think the same way, because I don't know if there's anything where they say, well, fuck, I got to order it from Canada. If I don't get it from Canada, I'm not going to get it.
That's never
right?
an issue.
Yeah, I don't think that's an issue either. Unless it's maple syrup or some fucking thing like that. I don't know.
Beer.
Yeah. I'm really curious. I'll probably put a poll out this week on social, or next week on social media. I'm really curious about it, because yeah, I'm just very curious about it. I'd like to know what people's thoughts are.
My kids always want you to know that if you ever get fanny packs, because I think Carrie sent you a message or she posted something and tagged you in it, my boys want Punisher fanny packs.
Well, I know.
So if you ever market them, there's
No.
2 sold.
No.
Well, Caleb sent me a message.
That's what it was.
Yeah, he straight up told me, like, you need to bring in fanny packs, and I was like, all right, buddy, let's we're gonna have to discuss this. Phil's anti fanny pack, because Phil's like, if it doesn't fit in his pockets, he don't fucking take it. So
man purses don't fly.
It's funny because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about so the podcaster, his concealed carry is in a fanny pack, and he brought up the point. He's like, in certain states like Montana, he's like, if you see a guy wearing a fanny pack, just assume there's probably a gun in there.
Really?
So if guys are walking around Montana sporting fanny packs with guns, I don't think it's too girly for you, Phil.
I can deal with that.
Yeah, Phil. Like, here's something. You know what? Let's keep this going, because this is something that's I see it. I see it on on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you call it, and all this shit, right? So we know in the U.S., right, firearms and the firearms laws, and you can buy guns easier, they're cheaper, the
Or
whole bit, right?
lack thereof laws. Anyways.
Sure. My question is, and someone can correct me on this. So when it comes to concealed carry and open carry, Philly, you probably know the shit out of this.
No, I live in Canada.
Yeah, I know, but you would actually, yeah, no, you wouldn't know because it would never be an issue. So is open carry the lesser and concealed carry is higher? So like if you want to do concealed carry, you need to be a cop or something like that. But average Joes like me, like us three, we wouldn't get concealed carry because we're
100%
not
you can.
Yeah, some states,
Yeah,
yes. Like
100%.
it's state by state, and anybody, like, well, not anybody, but like
right.
regular people can get concealed carry.
Yeah. And
Okay, I get that, but so honestly, if I was in, I'd be open carry. I've got no reason to fucking conceal carry. Like if I'm carrying a gun, I want everybody to fucking know I'm carrying a gun. I don't need to fucking conceal carry because, and I'll tell you what led to this, and this could be fucking controversial. So I'm chatting with some people that I've met over the last week, during some training and stuff like this, and the gentleman is not wasn't born in Canada. He was born in the UK, right? And then he came to Canada, and he's been living in Canada for the last 14 years, right? And he had said, the first couple years that he came over here, like many across the world, they get this visual that Canadians are so polite and friendly, and they're just so nice. And he was like, I get here. He said the first couple of years I was here, like, you fucking guys are horrible. Like you're not as nice as what everybody thinks that you are, and all this stuff, right? And I was like, no. I said, I think if you were from, and I had said to him, I was like, I don't know, maybe if you're from New York City, like if you lived in the fucking hard parts of New York City and you came to Canada, well, yeah, compared, Canadians are probably nicer, I said, but I've been not a lot of places in the States, but I've been to a few, and the southern states is some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, the most polite and just great fucking people. And I brought up the state of Texas, and I was like, you look at Texas, everything is yes ma'am, yes sir, sort of deal like this. And his response to that was, I travel to the States, I spend half the year in the States, I love it. His response is, an armed population is a polite population.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
yeah.
And then I got because I've always been against people like the three of us being able to carry firearms. I because I don't even trust half the fucking people driving cars in this country, let alone give them a gun. Right? But now I'm thinking, fuck it. If you want a gun, get a gun. Strap it on, and maybe people will stop acting like little assholes all the time if they know that average Joes are just walking around strapped. I don't know.
Well,
What
so here's a funny one for you. So
what's your thoughts on that?
Chris Collins, and Josh Reed, and even though today's Thursday and this episode is going to drop on Monday, one of our beloved followers, Chris Collins, today's his 50th birthday. So happy birthday, Chris.
Yes.
So Chris, Josh, and I, well, you were supposed to be part of this trip. You go down to the Boot Heel of Missouri. So there's the three of us, and then there's a couple lads from Minnesota. It was a father and son. The son was actually going to school in Texas, but they're Minnesota natives, and a friend of, I think, like the dad's. So the father, he's carrying. And I guess Minnesota, their laws are a lot more stricter than others. So you pretty much get like a complete and utter wand if you want to conceal carry anywhere else in the States or something like that. I don't know how it works. And so he's carrying, and it's our opening morning. We're in the I shouldn't say opening. It's our first morning in the duck blind, and so there's the three of us, the three of them, the three guides. So you got 9 shotguns in this Taj Mahal duck blind, and the lead guide, he's got a single stack 9mm Glock, and I just seen the big fat silver clip band sticking out from the top of his waders. I'm like, and he knows what I do for a living, and I'm like, what do you got there? Whips it out, cleans it, drops the mag. Here, have a gander. And I'm looking at this little pissant Glock, cute as a button,
yeah, cute
cool.
as a button.
Oh yeah, cute little toy. I'm like, bro, we're in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's 9 of us here with shotguns. Why do you have this? He's like, well, you never know what might happen down on the river. I'm like, there's fucking 9 of us with shotguns. We are like a small militia. Tell me what the fuck's gonna happen down on the river, please.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The more and more, and I will stand here hand on heart and say, I have never been a fan of the average Joe walking around with a fucking sidearm.
But if I could, I would, hands down.
But now I'm getting to the point where I see the crime. I hear about the crime now, and it scares the shit out of me, because one time this stuff wasn't happening. I know there was always crime. There've always been crime.
Someone
but
had
it
their
just
truck
seems
stolen
now,
off my street the other day.
yeah, it just seems
I'm
like it's just consistently getting worse and worse.
Yeah,
it is, man.
I'm at a point where I might need to fuck around and find out shotgun.
Well, but think so. Here's the thing, and for Americans listening, I know you're just like, fucking Canadians are fucked, right?
Go drink your maple syrup.
Yeah, go drink your maple. But we are so anti-gun up here that the law-abiding people like us three that's on this show, we are never allowed to own a pistol anymore, or anything that resembles an AR platform or anything like that. But yet the criminals, or any gun that's painted black, really. But the criminals they're still getting their shit, and they're still being criminals, and they're doing bad things. But yet guys like me, I can't have it. And listen, the whole, well, I want it for security for my house. Google Jim Jeffries and gun control. He's a stand-up comedian. It's the funniest 10 minutes on gun control you'll ever fucking hear in your life. It's brilliant, actually. But it's getting to the point where I'm starting to think, I'm like, I think I'd like to be able to carry a sidearm. I'm almost to that point. Now, there better be some pretty rigid rules, because like I said, there's a lot of people out there that I really don't want having access to a firearm. But
yeah, that's always been my feeling. I'm like, Phil, if I could, I would, but I can, even with a whole bunch of people that I know that are already firearm owners, it's like, you don't have the personality that I want walking around with it as well. But
I don't want you carrying a sharp box of crayons, let alone a
gun. Yeah. But so this plays into my initial question about concealed carry and open carry, because I think that with the concealed carry, I think any swinging dick can have a gun, and then it's hidden, and the police officer or whoever, well, they have no idea. But with open carry, there's no, well, fuck, he's got it right there. It's on his belt, and he's got a pistol, or whatever, right? I just think that the open carry, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, is that the, like, how can I word this? So if you're an American, and to all of our friends in the States, just excuse my ignorance right now, because I'm going to say some stuff that makes me sound like a fucking complete idiot. But if you're an American and you want to carry a gun with you, I'm assuming that every fucking American can have open carry. If you want concealed carry, then that's a different application. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Well, and it's different there because, again, the way they run things through state or federal level is very different than here. So
right.
Here, the gun stuff is generally federal, whereas there it's state by state, and I imagine probably even county by county in some situations.
Fair. Good point.
And so, like Phil had commented on, yeah, there's some states where it's like basically if you've been allowed to have a handgun, whether it's concealed or open in this state, then that license can transfer to these states because your state's more strict, but it doesn't necessarily go the other way. So it's like if you say, and this is just an example, if you are coming from Texas and you've got whatever license in Texas, doesn't necessarily carry over to say like New York or California.
Right.
No, aggressive. You're not even allowed to own guns in California.
Yeah. No. You throw granola at criminals in California. Granola and I don't know, some other hippie stuff. Raisins.
Trail mix.
Yeah. Tofu.
And then because even in some, like I have heard like and I don't know if it's always a situation, but in some states, even with concealed carry, there's still stipulations around that. It's like if you are going to a bar or if you're consuming alcohol, then it's like it's, at least I've heard in some states anyways, where it kind of nullifies the concealed carry permit.
No,
well, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're going out drinking, probably not a good idea to be fucking strapping.
And I remember hearing about that because again, I was listening to podcasts and there was a video of a guy like at a wedding, and I think it turned out he was an officer or something too, but it was his own gun, and he had a concealed carry permit, but like he dropped it at the wedding and it ended up going off and stuff as well. So that was the thing. It's like, yeah, it was permitted to have it, but not in that situation.
Yeah, man. Like I just, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I'm starting to, like you two said, if I could, I would. And if I could, I definitely would. And I would be nervous, and I would hope that, not that this is going to happen, because our government is still trying to take more guns away from us. So it's not like this is happening, but I would trust that we would have some pretty rigid rules if we were going to go this way. But I don't know. But then it comes down to that whole fucking thing that we talked about not very long ago, Philly, is that, well, if I get a gun, then I got to buy a horse, and then I got to get a cowboy hat and some boots and you know, the whole thing. And then I need to get a barn and the fucking cattle and the whole bit. And you know what I mean? Like
next thing you know, you're fucking Yellowstone.
Yeah, I'm Yellowstone. I'm Rip.
Yeah.
Because Rip is an ugly dude.
Taking people to the train
Rip
station.
is an ugly dude, and there's a bunch of women that's just fucking losing their mind over him. I think I could be Rip because I'm not that good looking, but if you put a fucking cowboy hat on me, I think I could be appealing.
You just need to dye your beard black and get you a set of aviators.
There you go.
Done.
And a cowboy hat. And a Filson jacket.
Fuck yeah. Lots of Filson.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Okay, boys. We've beat this
hit that mark.
What, another 20 minutes after you said we weren't going to make the hour?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Philly's got Grey's Anatomy. Does Grey's still come on, Philly?
I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, like fuck.
I know what I can tell you. I got to get ready for the trailer tomorrow.
Oh, right. Yeah. You got glamping to go on.
Buddy, I got silver bullets to crush. That's going to be my
weekend. All right, boys. Silver all right, bullets. Let's do a quick around the table and we'll end her right there. Philly, to you first, buddy.
Yeah, I really got nothing.
All right. Short and sweet. Love it. Yeah. Craig?
Nothing. Had a great time.
Awesome.
Keep on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is this is episode 229 of the Union 0430 podcast. We are not experts, nor will we ever pretend to be. Just a group of friends that love hanging out. And I don't think we talked about duck hunting once tonight, but we talked about a bunch of other shit. So please like and subscribe, and let us know if there's anything you want to talk about or stuff that you want us to stop talking about.
Or if you want to
let
come
us
on the
know.
show.
Or if you want to come on the show. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Reach out, and we'll do our absolute best. Big love. Surround yourself with good people, and good things will happen. Until next time, big love.